going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys tuning in to today's edition of the Jets Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we'll be talking about the edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson, and if he'll be signing a big-time contract extension with the Jets this offseason. All signs are pointing to that being the case. So we'll talk about how much he could potentially get paid, and then also a look ahead to some of the Jets free agents that are set to hit the market. We'll play a little game if we should keep these guys or if we should let them walk on the tail half of today's show. But there's no doubt there's going to be a hectic offseason for the New York Jets. And if you guys want to stay locked in, we got you covered on the Jets offseason, the draft, the free agency, the whole nine here. We got the best coverage out there here on YouTube. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button today, lock us in, and help us reach our next milestone of 11,500 subscribers. We're about 150 subs away. So if you guys want to help us reach our next milestone there, go down there, hit that subscribe button today. All right, let's talk about Jermaine Johnson. Probably one of the marquee players on the New York Jets. And it's always funny if you're talking about, hey, which Jets jersey should I buy right now? I do think Jermaine Johnson is a solid choice because I would assume this contract extension is coming eventually. But the question becomes, how much should he get paid? Because the edge market is a complete, I want to say shit show or just a disaster almost, because you got a guy like Micah Parsons making $46 million per year. One of the best edge rushers in the league. But then you also have one of the best edge rushers in the league, Nick Bonito, getting $26 million. But then you got guys like T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, both over $40 million. You got a guy like Danielle Hunter getting $35, Max Crosby getting $35, Nick Bosa getting $34. Then you got Trey Hendrickson, $29, Josh Allen, $28, and Brian Burns, $28. So I would expect Jermaine Johnson to probably be around that $28 million per year mark. Again, this may be a little rich for Jermaine, considering the injury history he has had, but also, I would be willing to kind of take a gamble on Jermaine Johnson because it could be a situation like how the Broncos had with Nick Bonito, and they gave him that $26 million per year deal, and they gave him that contract before the market completely skyrocketed. So I think the Jets should do the same thing. So pay him now before the price goes up, because let's just say you wait this out and you're trying to get him on a bargain deal of like $24 million per year, and him and his camp are saying, hey, absolutely not. We're not taking that. We understand how good we are. And we have also seen this Jets defense. I mean, it is night and day with Jermaine Johnson in the lineup compared to out of the lineup so far this season. So I would pay him now before that price goes up. I mean, shit, right now, try to get that deal done even before the season ends, before other guys in free agency start getting $33 million per year. So I think $28 million would be a fair number for Jermaine. And if you look at the raw stats here, like maybe saying, man, why the hell are we going to pay Jermaine Johnson $30 million per year? Turn on the tape. Just use your eyes a little bit. Jermaine Johnson's the premier edge rusher. Even though the sack total has not been where you want it to be, but so far this season, even though only 3 sacks in 9 games, he has still been dominant in the run game. He has still been dominant at just generating pressures, and I feel like he's one of those guys where he creates a pressure, floods the quarterback up in the pocket. He's got to go escape, and then another guy will get credited for a sack. But there's no doubt the concerning part with Jermaine Johnson, and I say this is also concerning for the Jets, but this also could be a benefit for New York, where if Darren Muji in the front office, they kind of want to play a little bargain shopping with Jermaine Johnson to say, hey, man, you had an ankle injury in 2022, tore your Achilles in 2024, and re-aggravated that ankle here in 2025. So if you say to Jermaine, hey, we'll get you $25 million per year, maybe 3 for 75, 50 of that guaranteed, so necessarily a 2 for 50 deal, I could see his camp having some interest in that. But also the leverage from Jermaine Johnson's front is, what is the Jets' plan if they don't extend Jermaine Johnson? Because Will McDonald, he had that one really good game where he had 4 sacks against the Cleveland Browns. He is still just very hit or miss. It isn't too good against the run. And then, you still got Michael Clemens there. Obviously, we know how we all feel about Michael Clemens. But if you don't have Jermaine Johnson in that group, it's one of the worst groups in the league. And also, let's just say you do decide not to pay him, you're going to probably want to spend one of those premium draft picks on an edge rusher. So, and then I will be shocked if the Jets don't get this done. I think, Aaron Glenn, Muji, they've talked about getting their guys in the building. Well, I already think they have one of their guys in the building. A guy who's an every down defensive lineman, who is great against the run. He sets the edge at an extremely, extremely high level. And number 11, even though the raw numbers, if you just look at that one graphically, you're like, man, how the hell are we going to pay him $28 million? I think it's a fair deal. I think this guy, his breakout season is coming, where we're going to look up at the end of one of these seasons. We're like, man, did Jermaine Johnson really just have 15.5 sacks? Did he really just go out there and was one of the best edge rushers in the league? I think he's got that type of potential. He's got that type of mentality. He's just that type of edge rusher in the NFL that we have seen be so dominant since the NFL even started playing games. So shout out to Jermaine Johnson. He's having another good year. But I'll ask you guys this. Maybe you think $28 million is a little too much. I think that's more than fair. Now, my initial offer to Jermaine, if I was Darren Muji, I'd be like, hey, man, what if we give you 4 for 80? See what he says. Maybe they come back and they're like, all right, what about 4 for 100? And then you kind of got to meet in the middle, but maybe he gets up to $28 million per year. Again, also with these contracts, even if Jermaine, let's just say he signs like a 4 for 120 and it's $30 million per year, it really all comes down to the guaranteed money. Like if you give him 4 for 120, but like 60 of it's guaranteed, it's necessarily just like a 2 for 60 deal. So be curious to see how much they do end up paying him. But I think that sweet spot of $27 to $29 million per year is probably where he'll end up. Now, to play a little game here coming up of either we're going to choose some Jets free agents to say or we're going to let them walk here in just a second. But I got to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Now, it is the holiday season, and it's the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball and football matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And when you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there's only one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. And if you guys download the Prize Picks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS. We'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, Prize Picks, super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Now, get in on the action. Prize Picks is now available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. And Prize Picks now offers stacks. I mean, you can pick up to the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you're watching the Golden State Warriors play, for example, and if you guys want to take more on Steph Curry's points, 3-pointers, and assists, well, now you can't pick all of them. Only in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. And Prize Picks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's play a little fun game here. I'm actually excited for this. We're going to play a game, keep them or let them walk. We're going to be going over some of the top free agents for the New York Jets and discuss if New York should keep them on the team, try to extend them, give them that new contract, or just say, hey, we'll let you walk. We'll go try to find your replacement in the draft or free agency. And we're going to start off with the linebacker here, Quincy Williams, and we're going to go with keep for Quincy. Listen, Quincy Williams definitely struggled early on in the season, but he's played some really good football as of late. And he does kind of have that feeling of being that glue guy, being that, just true kind of culture builder defensively, I think is the right word, because he plays very physical. Like when this dude gets a running back, he hits them hard, even if it's quarterback scrambling, he'll lay the boom on him. And I think he does fit the identity of an Aaron Glenn defense. So I could see Glenn having a lot of interest in bringing Quincy Williams back, because also if you don't bring him back, yes, you still got Sherwood there, you still got Kiko. Maybe you could go try to find a guy in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round to replace him, but I would rather just get him on a pretty team-friendly deal, which I think is a fully on the table. But how about right guard Elijah Vera Tucker? I'm going to say you got to let him walk. And, big reason for this is of just how good, Tiepman has been at the right guard position so far this season. But also the biggest reason for this is just his injury history. I mean, 2022, he tore his tricep on his left arm. 2023, he tore his Achilles. And then in 2025, he tore his tricep on his right arm. So, the question becomes, even though when Vera Tucker's been in the lineup, can he maintain that production even after all the injuries he has suffered? So we'll wait and see how that plays out. And I'm assuming he will be able to bounce back somewhat, but there's no doubt, having 2 torn triceps as an offensive lineman, I mean, you guys just think about it. You're extending your arms a lot. That tricep muscle is incredibly vulnerable there. So hopefully he's able to make a bounce back. I just don't think it's going to be with the New York Jets. And in my opinion, you keep Joe Tippmann at right guard. Joe Tippmann's been fantastic this season. And how about you go all in and try to get your center of the future for that young quarterback? Because obviously if you're trying to develop a young QB, you want to have a solid offensive line, and you obviously want to have a solid center, and especially a center who is a veteran in the league. He's played in big-time playoff games. He's been the center for Lamar Jackson. So I'll go out there and try to get Linderbaum and keep Joe Tippmann at right guard. This guy's been unbelievable at the position so far this season. He's been healthy the entire year, 743 snaps at right guard, and he's also been way better the last 6 weeks because obviously, jumping to that right guard position, he started to get his feet wet, and he has just been pretty fantastic. So that's what I would do. Tippmann at right guard, try to go get a new center, maybe you keep Josh Mars, but just move him as the backup and try to go get center of the future. But how about a safety here, Andre Cisco? We're just going to let him walk. And obviously, we understand that safety is the biggest position of need on the Jets team because, you got Tony Adams, you got Malachi Moore. I do fully expect the Jets, either if it's a Caleb Downs or maybe they go try to sign a guy to pair up with Malachi Moore. But I say you see what you got in the young guy. You spent a 4th-round pick on him. He's shown some flashes this season. He has struggled in certain spots. But again, you can just chalk that up to him just being a rookie. He does seem like a very instinctual and intelligent player. He's not a guy that's going to blow you away. It's just like natural athletic ability. Like, he's a totally different safety than a guy like with the Seahawks, like a Nicky Manwari, where he was like a physical freak coming out. Like, Malachi Moore kind of uses his brain a little bit more than just his physical traits. So I could see him, once he kind of gets caught up to the speed of the NFL, he starts understanding, what the offense is trying to do at the NFL level a little more, where we could see that breakout season happening, hopefully in year 2 for Malachi. But how about John Simpson here, the left guard? I'm going to go keep. And the biggest reason for this is, he is obviously not, top of the league at that position, but he is just a solid option. And, I think John Simpson's one of those guys where if you would let him walk, you'd probably, have to go spend money in free agency on a left guard. Maybe you got to spend a draft pick on a left guard when you already have a guy who's developing nicely. And, maybe his breakout season is coming. He has been solid this year. He's been very consistent. No real up and down of his play. He's just been kind of consistently mid. And when you hear that, you're like, oh, is that really a good thing? I think it is, especially with the offensive line play in the NFL being as poor as it's been over the last couple of years. I say you just ride it out with Simpson at left guard. But how about Jeremy Ruckert here, backup tight end for the New York Jets? We're going to let him walk. Now, listen, if the Jets bring him back on like a 2-year, $6-7 million deal, I would have some interest there. But again, is Jeremy Ruckert really, moving a needle by any means? So unless you can get Ruckert for cheap, there's really no need to keep him, because I think the Jets just have so many other needs on this roster where you're looking at the defense, you're looking at some of these other guys that need to get paid. I would just let Ruckert walk. You don't really, you could always just replace him with a guy like Stone Smart, Jelani Woods, who you already have on the team. But it really does all come down to, how aggressive the Jets are with Breece and Jermaine, as they're expecting to receive some big time deals here in free agency. Now, I think Jermaine will probably be around, like I was saying, like that $27-28 million range. Breece Hall probably around that 12 to 15 year range. So you are going to take up of your $100 million probably on the books next year, combined between the two of those guys. I guess you can backhold them, but probably around $35-40 million for those two guys. And you have an extra 60 to spend. Also, you want to bring back a guy like Quincy. You want to bring back a guy like Simpson. So I could see the Jets, we'll see how aggressive they are with these contracts. I think that's going to be, pretty key. But you guys let me know. Your turn here. Who do you want the Jets to bring back next season? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I think the number one guy, though, if I had to pick out of all of these, I'd probably go John Simpson. You just got consistency at the left guard. Might as well keep him. He can still develop next to Fashanu, as continuity and chemistry is so key at that offensive line. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Who do you want the Jets to bring back next season? And hit that subscribe button on your way out. If you get any updates on Jermaine, on Breece Hall, we'll get a video for you guys ASAP. So hit that subscribe button today. See y'all next time. Go Jets.